Welcome back to the IDP Pros podcast. That's right. You heard me correctly. We are back. My name is
Oh
Johnny the
yeah.
Greek. I am joined with the IDP tipster himself, Mr. Gary Van Dyke. Gary, you pulled me out of retirement. What the hell?
Yeah, man, knock those mothballs off, brother. I can't believe it. I'm so excited, man. It's been what, 8 weeks, maybe? I can't remember since our last full IDP Pro Players podcast. And we're changing a little format, man. We're going to do a little bit of everything this year via the IDP guys, IDP Plus on YouTube and podcast form. So make sure you check us out. Like this week, we're going to be covering those NFL team lines. Johnny's going to hook us up with his best bets.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I love. A couple weeks ago we started talking about this, and obviously getting into betting is going to be big, right? As it gets more and more available and legalized in each state, it's just going to get more and more popular. So we need to be out in front of this thing. And you guys just got it in Ohio. Maybe
Right.
talk about that for a minute. What's that been like for you since you got it?
Well, what's kind of surprising, I mean, I've had a fairly good year at IDP props, but in my lifetime, I am not a gambler, folks. I'm not really. I'm just a start sit IDP defensive, whatever the hell you want to call me. So I just happen to know the right numbers and the right crunch, and I know the right scenarios to work with the defensive players and these bets that we're doing. So I'm a little green here, and I'm learning as we go. John, you know me from years back. I used to have this motto, man. I don't bullshit nobody. If I don't know it, I find out who does, and I learn. All right, so that's what we're here for, and it's exactly why I ain't gonna say that much shit at all while we're covering the game lines. It's all you, brother.
Good stuff, man. And I'm right there with you. We've only had it for a couple of years in my state here, so we're all learning as well. But this would be you came up with a good idea here. This is a good opportunity to talk through some of the thought process behind these team bets and team lines and get
Mhm,
familiar with it in general, right?
mhm.
Because it's new to a lot of states. So we figured we'd look at these game lines for each game this week and just kind of talk about it, break it down a little bit. Let's start with Steelers at Ravens. And this one is pretty straightforward for me, Gary, because the Ravens are sitting everyone.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, so I mean, it's one thing if you got Lamar Jackson out there and everyone else, but I don't even know if we're going to get many defensive starters for the Ravens. So, definitely seeing this as a Steelers win. I would even go money line with that. Um, you know, at minus 175, what that number means is you need to bet $175 to win 100. And Vegas is telling us with that number that they expect the Steelers to win this game. Maybe not handily by about 3.5 points, as you see from that spread there, but they do expect the Steelers to win, and that's cooked in. We know that the Ravens are sitting their starters. We know the Steelers still have something to play for, and the Ravens don't. So that's baked into that line right there. That reflects in the
Mhm.
price of the bet. So that's one thing you could bet on with this game is if the Steelers win or lose, if the Ravens win or lose, I would take Steelers money line this week. Another thing you could focus on though is the over under, which is at 34.5 points for this game. That's the combined total between both teams, when the clock strikes 12 and the game is over. That number being that low at 34.5 indicates a lower scoring game, a defensive struggle, black and blue affair, which we've seen between Steelers and Ravens almost every time they've played ever lifetime. So that makes sense as well. But yeah, this initial one right here, I would just go Steelers money line. I feel like that's your best bet.
A little tidbit, man. Since Rudolph has been starting for 2 games, they've scored 64 points.
Yeah, they look a lot better with him. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, those guys are back involved again. Hell, even Najee Harris had like a 100-yard game
Mhm.
last week. So
And
yeah, they're looking much better.
like you mentioned, Baltimore sitting a lot of starters.
Yep. So yeah, that's the early game tomorrow, and it's kind of a stinker because Baltimore's not starting anyone. But the late game is in my opinion, one of the best two games of the week this week because the winner of Texans Colts is very likely the division winner. There's still some to be settled with the Jags, but whoever wins that game tomorrow night between Texans and Colts has the inside line on winning that division. You can see with the 1.5 point spread there that it's essentially what we would call a pick 'em, coin flip, whatever you want to call it, right? Vegas is not sure who's going to win, so they have a very small spread, and they pointed it towards the Colts a little bit, most likely because they're at home. The home team usually gets about a 3 point advantage, so we can see that right there. This one's tough. I have no idea who's going to win it. I would lean towards the Colts at home, but we've seen C.J. Stroud just be absolutely phenomenal this year. Unfortunately, he's missing some weapons, Tank Dell and whatnot, but Texans still might have enough. I'll tell you what I'm doing with this game, Gary. I'm not betting it.
Oh
Unless,
yeah.
yeah, unless it's IDP props or individual player props or something like that. That's too close. That's a coin flip. I don't have a strong feeling either way, so I'd probably just stay away from it. If you put a gun to my head, though, Colts.
Is Colts at plus 100?
Yes, sir. That's a good price too. So that means bet 100, you get 100. That's pretty good.
Yeah, they're both kind of mediocre when it comes across the line of they actually who they're fielding out on offense. So I can see it. I actually picked just to recap, I would like to pick on Buckner for IDP prop and for Kiwitty Pay. Man, these guys lit these guys up at the beginning of the season, and I know that this is a different team with C.J. Stroud really hitting his stride and going for Rookie of the Year. But I still see both of those getting a sack, and if you can find that, man, I'd put some money on it.
Right, and try and find it on DraftKings because they give you the half sack. You can get the half sack and still get the full get credit for it. And
Yep.
where some other sites might hose you on that. So I
Yep.
like that. I like that pick quite a bit. All right, moving on to Tampa Bay, Carolina. This is another game that actually will have starters in it this week, and that's half the
Mhm.
battle with Week 18 because so many of these teams are sitting starters, but not these guys. Tampa Bay needs to win this game to win the division. Carolina has been out of it since like Week 1 anyway, so we're getting the same starters we've been getting.
All
So
right.
nothing different there. I'm going to take Tampa Bay money line. The price stinks, right? So you'd have to bet $238 to win 100, which is batshit crazy, right? Like, who's
Mhm.
in the modern NFL? Who wants to do that? Upsets happen enough. There's so many things we get wrong all the time that why would you risk that much money just to make 100? So what we would do instead here is take the spread. Tampa Bay minus 4.5. You would only have to bet 110 to win 100 at that point, but Tampa Bay needs to win by more than 4.5 points with that in mind. And I think that's totally doable. I think they blow out Carolina and win by maybe 10 more than that. I think it's a bloodbath. I think Tampa Bay wins rather easily.
Nice. If anybody cares, they're going to see an incentive out there. I think Levante David only needs like a half a sack or a sack to collect an extra 50K or 500K. Well, 50K, that's beans, but either way. Ah,
No, hey,
eh,
that's a new car, right? Like that's
right, right. It's true.
and
It's a nice bonus.
And that's a great point you brought up there, Gary. That's a really good point. I've already made several bets this week where it's like I'm betting on incentives for specific players
Mhm.
because they're within reach. Like some of them are not. Like Tyreek Hill needs 248 yards against the Bills defense. That ain't happening, right?
Right.
But some of them are. Austin Eckler needs 110 combined receiving and rushing yards to get his bonus. That's possible. That's
Mhm.
doable, right?
Right.
So I like your idea there with the incentive bets. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at Vikings Lions. This is another game that's relevant for a few things, right? So Minnesota still has an outside chance of getting in. It's like last time I looked, it was like 26% or something. It's not good. They need a lot of things to happen, but they're still mathematically alive. Therefore, we'll get the starters, so that's good. And the Lions still have a chance to secure the second seed if Dallas loses, Detroit wins, and a couple other things happen, I believe. So we'll get the starters here. That's good. I think the Lions win against a backup quarterback. Uh, it was close last time these guys played, so I don't know about going with the spread. I might just take the money line here at minus 180 for the Lions.
Oh yeah, I just got done taping the second edition of Dirty O IDP Underdogs with Dave Hillman. Just a little right before me and John got started, so I'll just throw a little tidbit here, man. You might want to go put a nice little prop bet on DraftKings Vikings. Josh Metellus over 6.5 tackles and assists, so combined tackles at plus 120 versus the Lions. All right, go check out the real details in that episode, but I'm just going to tell you, for the last 5 weeks, the Lions have actually been sitting at the very number one spot in allowing production to the safeties, and Josh Metellus has played 10 to 12 positions every game. He's put in position to make those tackles, and he just had 10 combined just in week 16 against him in Green Bay.
Right, right,
Or
and
no, sorry, in Minnesota.
right, and this is in Detroit, which is also a dome, also inside, so it's very similar, right? It's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I like that setup. That's something else you got to worry about too. Weather this time of year could impact scoring and whatnot. But here's another thing you could do if you're not sure the Lions or the Vikings are going to win. Which, frankly, I think the Lions are going to win, but who the hell
Mm-hmm.
knows? Instead, you could look at that total right there, 45.5. If you go to some of these sites, like I believe this is from DraftKings, you can select an alternate total instead. You can lower that to like 40 points, and it's pretty likely that the Lions and the Vikings are going to combine for over 40 points. So you can
Mm-hmm.
use an alt line to lower that total and then bet over the lowered total. And that's a little bit safer way to make a little money off a game like this where we're not sure what's going to happen.
Nice tidbit. If I remember right, Detroit, it doesn't matter if they do lose. It's just a matter of the Vikings get in, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yep. Right. Yeah. Detroit is locked in. They can do a little bit better seating wise, but they've got the division, which is crazy, right? The
Right.
Browns and the Lions going to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal.
Well, then you have that situation where, if the game gets a little bit out of hand or something, Detroit might actually start sitting some starters if it doesn't matter at some point. Who knows? I mean, divisional rival. I love it that they're having it week 18. Gives a little bit more oomph to the betting. Gives you a little bit more security looking at these divisional rivals that really matter this weekend, or like you said, incentives for players.
Yeah, right, right. And that's the trick with week 18. There's going to be so much shenanigans. We need to find things that are very likely to happen, like players going for incentives, very likely to happen.
Right.
Division rivals that hate each other's guts playing
Yep.
their starters, a little more likely to happen.
So who did we go with, man? What we picking for them here on the team
Oh,
lines?
this one, I'm gonna take Lions money line on this one.
All right, negative 180 with the Lions.
All right, let's move on here to Jags and Titans. This is another relevant game here. Only for Jacksonville, though. Obviously, they need to win this game to stay within the discussion for winning the division. They should, but my question is, do they get Trevor Lawrence back for this game? He's been iffy all week. They looked better last week with CJ Beathard, but that was against Carolina. Tennessee's got a little bit better defense, I would think. So that they really do need Lawrence. If he can go, I'd feel comfortable taking the Jags money line. If not, this might be an upset special right here. CJ Beathard's at quarterback. I would take Titans money line if CJ Beathard is under center, but we're not going to know that until tomorrow in actives. But let's assume that.
Yeah, I like that with Lawrence or without Lawrence, man. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, he's been banged up for a while now. He did not play last week, so I don't know if we'll get him this week. But regardless, and how you can shift this up is if Trevor Lawrence does play, you can go Titans getting points instead. Take the +4 right there instead. That would work too. All righty. Next one is Falcons at Titans. I believe the Falcons are eliminated. Excuse me, Falcons at Saints. I believe the Falcons are eliminated. The Saints are mathematically alive, if I remember correctly. I do know that the Bucks win and they're in, but the Saints need to win to stay in the conversation. So if the Bucks lose, the Saints can get in. I love how complicated Week 18 is. For this game, though, I'm going to take New Orleans money line minus 166. They're just a much better team than the Falcons. The Falcons have so much talent, it's unreal, but they just refuse to use it because they've got an absolute idiot as a head coach. And I don't think that changes this week.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Talking about incentives is probably out of reach. Calais Campbell is if he gets two and a half sacks this game, he can have 500K. But I wouldn't necessarily go there. Maybe bet against that, whatever that line is, because that'd be like the monster ass game of his career to end. For that old veteran. I mean, he's having an elite season, but he's not that elite. What I am interested in is what I shared earlier with Dave. Just a quick recap. I like Saints Pete Warner with over 4.5 solo tackles at plus 130 versus the Falcons here. And one thing that Pete Warner has been consistent against his divisional rivals. I think he had something like 10. Let's see. He had 7 against Atlanta just a couple of weeks ago, and he's coming off a Buccaneers game where he had 8 solos against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because the Falcons love to run the ball, right? And that makes those easy run stopping tackles for Warner and Demario Davis. Like that's your floor right there. And then they just need to get lucky with a couple like pass coverage tackles, and bam, you got it.
Yep.
Good stuff right there. And then just also while we're talking about the props real quick, you can also, if some of these games you don't like the team bet, you can, open the game up, look inside it, think, okay, I don't know who's going to win this game, but I do know that, Jamar Chase is going to have 50 yards or 100 yards or a touchdown. I've got a strong feeling about that. You can bet that instead. There's so many options. That's what makes this nice. Speaking of Jamar Chase, Bengals at Browns. We already know the Browns are sitting pretty much everyone. Miles Garrett, Joe Flacco, you name it. So we're getting backups. The Bengals should be playing their guys. T. Higgins is out, but Chase is a possibility. Boyd is in. Mixon is in. Jake Browning is in. So I'm going Bengals. The money line price stinks here, right? So you got to bet 325 to make 100, which is crazy. What I would do instead is instead of taking the Bengals -7, I would open this game up. I would go to the alt lines and I would make that 6.5. That's called a hook, right? So if the Bengals win by exactly a touchdown, you're good. But it doesn't push it, because that can happen too if it's exactly 7. You don't want that. So we would take the Bengals and make that -6.5, and that would just tweak the price a little bit, and that would make it a little bit safer, and you'd still get more money betting off them when compared to just going money line. So that's what I would do with that one.
All right. Well, here comes that green rookie to help us out here. So you was talking about right there with the -7. Open that up and go -8 or 6.
Yeah, so I believe this is DraftKings we're looking at. If you click in between the Browns and the Bengals there, what would happen is it would open that game up and give you a bunch of other options within that game, like all the other different bets, right? And one of the app, yeah, it's okay. We don't need to see
I
it.
just crash and burn, brother. We better
yeah, no, it's okay. I'll just describe it. So any platform, right? DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever. You've got all the games listed themselves, but then you have the ability to click on the game, go into it, and find all those like player prop bets and parlay specials and stuff like that. And in that screen within there, that's where you can tweak the lines. So instead of -7, you can make it -6.5. And instead of -108, it would maybe be like -125. It reflects in the price a little bit. But you can do that to make things safer or more risky to make more money, depending how you're feeling.
Nice. Good to know.
All righty. Looking at Jets and Patriots, I have no earthly clue. Look at the over-under for that, by the way. 30.5 points. That is like Pee Wee football level of offense we're looking at. unbelievably bad. My eyes are bleeding already looking at this. I have
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
no idea. I would say Patriots money line, but Gary, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'm going to do y'all a favor, and no. I'd probably go with the money line, just like
Yeah,
you would.
Patriots are just a better team. I feel like so. I would keep it simple on that one.
I like that Jets defense, but man, yeah, and with playing in New England, nah, I don't know.
Right. Jets have a great defense, but the Patriots at home against a backup quarterback would probably dismantle that guy, I would think.
Yep.
All right, so heading into the 4 o'clock games on Sunday, this one has definitely got some implications. Packers and Bears. So Packers win and they're in. So they have a very strong incentive to play everyone, play well, and win the game. But then on the other side of this, I've been hearing stories all week about how if Justin Fields doesn't win this game, the Bears have so many draft picks they could just draft his replacement. So he's got strong incentive as well. I feel like this could be an upset. I'm taking Bears money line with a decent price here in this one.
Yeah, I don't want to run long, man, so I'm going to start saying less. But I like the DraftKings prop bets for both Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith to get a quarter of a sack. Both of them were in close, like plus 100, plus 105 or something, just enough to make your money there. Bears have been top 10 all season, allowing production off the edge. I think Rashawn Gary had a sack and a half last time these guys played. Preston Smith didn't. But hey, man, this game means something to the Packers. So I think they're both going to bring their A game. And if you're worried about uh, that many sacks in one game, Justin Fields has been sacked 3 times in the last 5 games, 4 times. So 4 times in the last 5 games, he's been sacked 3 times. So plenty to go around.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start cutting this short, brother. Let you
Oh
roll.
yeah. No worries. No worries. Yep, I like that quite a bit. Okay, this next game, fewer implications. I
So
think this.
who do we take?
Oh,
Anybody?
Bears. Upset
Bears.
special. Upset
All right,
special.
all
That
right.
one. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. And obvious disclaimer here: these are total shots in the dark. No one knows what's going to actually happen, myself included. I'm doing well for the year, but Vegas crushes me all the time. Just like they'll crush you, just like they'll crush everyone else. We do the best we can with the information we have ahead of time, and sometimes you just got to trust your gut. And this is more us talking through our thought process, not me recommending anything. So don't, no
What makes
pitchforks
sense?
and torches.
Yeah. Take that shit on elsewhere.
All right. Moving on to Seahawks Cardinals. So the Seahawks, I believe, are mathematically eliminated, if I remember correctly. They do have some injury issues. I heard a rumor that Kenneth Walker is healthy but isn't getting the carries this week. I've been reading some crazy stuff on Twitter this week. I still am going to go Seahawks money line here, though. They're just a much better team, and Arizona is fresh off a emotional win over a very good team last week. They're prime for a letdown game. Prime for it.
Cool.
All right. Cowboys, Commanders. So Vegas very much thinks Dallas is going to win this game. Vegas thinks Dallas is going to win so much that you would have to bet $850 to make $100. That's how much Vegas thinks Dallas is going to win this game.
Man, oh
uh,
man.
I mean, I think Dallas will win too. It's still a divisional opponent, and the Cowboys play like crap on the road. So I would probably go with like individual props in this game instead. Maybe like CD Lamb, 100 yards and a touchdown or something, because the money line price stinks for Dallas, and I don't know if they're going to win by 13. But that's the move here. Let's say Dallas minus 13 to make that price a lot better than minus 150.
Nice.
All right. Next one is Eagles Giants. We just saw this 2 weeks ago. It was a very close game, and it probably shouldn't have been. The Eagles are a lot better team, and they need to get their shit right before the playoffs, or they're going to exit immediately. So this feels like a get right game to me. It feels like an Eagles bloodbath. So I'm going to take Eagles minus 5.5 at the negative 110 there. That's a pretty good price. And I believe they'll win by at least a touchdown. So 5.5 gives us a cushion. I like that.
Yeah, they better. This won't be a good look, will it?
Yeah, you're not kidding. Speaking of not good looks, we got Broncos at Raiders here. So Denver's starting Brett Rippon or someone like that for some crazy reason. They don't want to pay Russell Wilson, so they're already in the hole here. The Raiders should be starting the normal people. They are mathematically eliminated, but I don't know about you, Gary, but Antonio Pierce doesn't strike me as the type of guy that's going to sit people and mail it in.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah, that guy is a competitor, and he's got his team playing that way and thinking that way too. So I'm going to go Raiders money line here, -162. I think they win this game, and this is a key stepping stone to Antonio Pierce keeping his job.
Nice.
All right, next one is Rams at 49ers. Both teams are sitting all their starters. So I legitimately have no idea who the hell is even playing in this game. The move here would be an individual, player prop bet or a couple within here somewhere. If you can even figure out who the players are, they're going to be on the field this week, which I can't. So I would skip this one entirely, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump off here, man, and just say San Fran's got a hell of a lot better depth on their team.
That's true. That is
giving
true.
them the advantage at home personally.
Yep, and they're at home, right? Yep.
Yep.
I like that. I'm going with Gary. San Fran money line. I like it. All right. Next one is Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs are also sitting at least Mahomes this week, probably more than Mahomes. Pacheco's beat up. They got injury issues in other places. But the Chargers really stink, man. I mean, they really stink. And Herbert's done for the season, and I don't know. I just don't believe that they're gonna win like handily. Or maybe not handily, but by at least 4 points, like Vegas thinks. I'm taking the upset here. Chiefs with a backup, +154.
Nice. Spicy.
Oh, jeez. And that takes us to the other game I was talking about. I said there are two games that are going to be very good and super important this week. This is the other one. Bills at Dolphins. Winner wins the AFC East. End of story. That is a beautiful thing right there. I'm taking the Bills -155, even though they're away. And here's why. Miami is shredded with injury. Shredded. Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard, Jalen Phillips, you name it, right? Tyreek is still beat up. Raheem Mostert missed last week. These guys are hurting across the board. They just do not have enough firepower to beat a Bills team that beat the living hell out of them earlier this season to start with.
Oh, yeah. Nice. I like that. I got money. First guy I looked at, I had to see what Van Winkle did, man. Did you know that one of his breakout games at the early part of the season, replacing Jordan Phillips, was against the Bills? He had 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss in Buffalo. All right. I still love this guy. I know Chubb is gone, he's still going to be playing next to Wilkinson. I think he can get in there for a quarter of a sack, no problem. He's having an elite season, and actually talking about Buckner, talking about Pay, and a few people or a few studs over the last couple of days on these bets. He is the highest graded dude at 91 with PFF, man. Yep. This longtime journeyman has broke out. He's going to still make a statement at home, Miami, playing against Buffalo. I think he can get to Josh Allen for a quarter of a sack, whatever that money line is.
Oh, I'm with you on that 100%. The biggest problem with Ginkle was playing time, and that problem's gone. It's been gone, and he's on my all 22 team. He's a blue all 22 player, and if anyone plays all 22, that's the best it gets. He's upper 90s. That's a really good player.
Yeah. Well, let's cash this one out, man, and we'll see everybody again next week. What do you think?
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you next week. Have a good weekend, and good luck with your bets.
Thank you for watching this IDP Guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.